meaning you are 5 minutes and 35 seconds over your allotted time. And then it says underneath, please get off the stage. But then look, almost a minute later, there's this other shot. She's now, what does it say, minus 6:23. So she's now 6 minutes and 23 seconds over her allotted time. And now the instruction to her says, please get off stage, Trump waiting. This is the same event when Trump got an endorsement from an Arizona police union. And while the union president was making his pro-Trump remarks and basically giving the endorsement, it seems like Trump got bored or annoyed or something. He just kind of crept up on the guy and was looming over his shoulder and frowning at him while the guy was speaking. At one point, he leans in and he apparently tells this guy that he needs to get lost and get off the stage. And the police union guy appears a little rattled by this, maybe even a little startled, starts flipping through his pages quickly, gets his stuff together, and then awkwardly slinks off because Trump told him to get out. That's a nice way to receive an endorsement. That was on Friday at an event in Glendale, Arizona. And now today, that same police union announced that they're endorsing the Democratic U.S. Senate candidate in Arizona, the guy who's running against Republican Kari Lake. That same police union is endorsing Democratic U.S. Congressman and combat veteran Ruben Gallego. I mean, they had already given Trump his endorsement, so presumably that one couldn't be reeled back in. But, you know, if this situation here, if this was Trump trying to turn on the charm to also get this union's endorsement for the Republican Senate candidate he was ostensibly there to support, well, we all know how good he is at sharing the glory, right? Sharing the spotlight. Get off stage, Trump waiting.
War on terror, only Kamala Harris is letting terrorists come into our country at record numbers and letting jihadists pour into our homeland by the thousands and thousands and thousands. We can't do that moment. And it's so easy. It was so easy because we were getting out, but we were getting out with strength and dignity. Think of it. 18 months, not one soldier was killed under mine. And I spoke to Abdul. I told Abdul, you can't do that. He had a meeting. He said, would you like to rest? No, I don't need resting. Unlike other people that we know, we don't need to rest. Short years, thank you. Under the Trump administration, we rebuilt, you know it better than anybody, rebuilt the U.S. military. We obliterated ISIS. So ISIS was going to take 5 years. Sir, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it in 5 years. 5 years. We have those beautiful jets for $150 million apiece, and they have knives and rifles. I don't understand why. You know,
All right, this is all happening live in Detroit. Former President Donald Trump there making remarks to the National Guard Association's 146th General Conference and Exhibition.
Right now, 3 days ago, I was honored to receive the endorsement of Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. We're very proud. Thank you. We're very proud to welcome Bobby to our cause. He's really a terrific guy. He's a terrific person, and he's going to do a lot of great things. I have no doubt about it. He's got some very good ideas, some ideas that people weren't listening to. It's turned out to be right. We are not just going to make America great again. We're going to make American democracy great again. We're going to bring it back. My opponent, Kamala Harris, and Tim Walz are promising the exact opposite. Guard members here today inherits the proud spirit of the citizen soldier running all the way back to the Minutemen who stood against tyranny at Concord Bridge. Has everybody heard of Concord Bridge? Yes? I think so. We're very proud to welcome Bobby to our cause. He's really a terrific guy. He's a terrific person. And he's going to do a lot of great things. I have no doubt about it. He's got some very good ideas, some ideas that people weren't listening to. It's turned out to be right. But only we need strong leadership. We need a big victory. November 5th will be the most important day, my opinion, in the history of our country. Be the most important day. easy because we were getting out, but we were getting out with strength and dignity. Think of it. 18 months, not one soldier was killed under mine. Guard members here today inherits the proud spirit of the citizen soldier running all the way back to the Minutemen who stood against tyranny at Concord Bridge. Has everybody heard of Concord Bridge? Yes? I think so. You carry. We will never forget those brave warriors who made the supreme sacrifice for our country. They will live in our hearts forever. And to all the Gold Star families, our gratitude is everlasting, will be everlasting always. We will honor their memory by restoring a government that puts the American people first. Caused by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the humiliation in Afghanistan set off the collapse of American credibility and respect all around the world. And the fake news doesn't want to talk about it. They don't even talk about the 3-year anniversary. Terrible word to use, but that's what they're calling it, an anniversary. It's really, I think of anniversary as a little bit different, but it's 3 years now. And the fake news doesn't even talk about it. Our country will never be safe again until we have fired those responsible for this disaster. Nobody fired. Worst, most embarrassing, in my opinion, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. It gave us Russia going into Ukraine. It gave us the October 7th attack on Israel because it gave us lack of respect. We're not respected. We were respected very much 4 years ago. We're not respected now. The voters are going to fire Kamala and Joe on November 5th, we hope. And when I take office, we'll ask for the resignations of every single official. We'll get the resignations of every single senior official who touched the Afghanistan calamity to be on my desk at noon on Inauguration Day. You know, you have to fire people. You have to fire people when they do a bad job. We never fire anybody. You got to fire them. Like on The Apprentice, you're fired. You did a lousy job. You did a terrible Terrible disservice to our country. You get fired when that happens. Nobody got fired. Nobody ever gets fired in this administration. It's amazing. All the bad things that have happened, nobody ever gets fired.
Because I am confident that his first task will be to do the work to walk us back from the brink of war. We cannot be prosperous unless we are at peace. And we can't live free as long as we have a government that is retaliating against its political opponents and undermining our civil liberties, weaponizing our very institutions against those they deem as a threat. Kamala Harris has done this over the last 3.5 years. She won't hesitate to continue that if she is elected as president. President Trump has been their first and foremost target in this because they don't want us as voters to even have the option to vote for him. I've been their most recent target, added to a secret domestic terror watch list after exposing the truth about what kind of dangers we would face if Kamala Harris is elected as president. We as Americans must stand together to reject this anti-freedom culture of political retaliation and abuse of power. We can't allow our country to be destroyed by politicians who will put their own power ahead of the interests of the American people, our freedom, and our future. I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
A lot of lives.
Would have been bad, but I did a lot of that. And I was very good at using a telephone. We didn't have to send soldiers and kill everybody, although we had some of that too, you know that, with Russia.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I'll get it settled very fast. I don't want you guys going over there. I don't want you going over there. There, and I'm the only candidate in this race who can make this promise. I will prevent, this is for the spouses, I will prevent World War III. Nobody else is going to prevent it. You're going to end up in World War III.
These people are just so destructive. So, I always look for good words. Highly sophisticated. Yeah, I'm highly educated. I like sophisticated words, but there's only one word I can't. Stupid. They're stupid people.
Whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. We saw this through his first term in the presidency, when he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. He exercised the courage that we expect from our commander-in-chief in exhausting all measures of diplomacy, having the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on
multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before. This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President Trump back to the White House, where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief.
So I had, and you will say it, I had ammunition. We had so much it was coming out of our gills, right? I had ammunition. Oh, I said, what the hell do we do with all this ammunition? We had so much, and now we don't have ammunition again. We gave it all away to different groups, but mostly into
Jeff said
Ukraine.
something in his speech that actually hit. And by the way, he's our colleague, and I'm not. It's not a personal attack, but he said he sort of inferred that if you don't vote for Harris, you're not a patriot. And
I would agree with that.
And I have to tell you how profoundly poorly that's going to hit a lot of Republican ears. Look, there are plenty of Republican voters who are lukewarm on Trump. Maybe they wish he hadn't run again, whatever. But to be told that your choice is, your patriotism is dependent upon your choice just because you prefer a Republican government.
You prefer
I thought that was a poor argument. I thought it was a poor argument.
someone who didn't try to overthrow the government.
The Republicans
of the
are saying
United
you're not an American if you vote for Harris.
I've never heard anyone say
I've
that.
heard many of them say that.
People were making fun of us because we were women. Yes, people were literally questioning us because we wanted to wave our own flag at the Democratic National Convention, talking about when did they start loving America? From the day I was born. Here's the thing. He's not saying that you're not a patriot if you vote for Donald Trump. He's just saying, this is my interpretation of it. He's saying, I love this country beyond anybody, any one person. And somebody who tried to overthrow our election, somebody who didn't stop for hours. Because I'm pretty sure we agree on this, because we've talked about this even on air. When an insurrection was happening at the Capitol, when you support someone who has done that, that is not patriotic. And then when you have that be your party's nominee, sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade.
Because that happened does not mean I or Katie or any other Republican has to give up on every single value that we've ever had, whether it has to do with taxes or the court or any other policy. You're asking Republicans to turn over the government to absolute radical liberals over one day, and I'm not prepared to do it because I believe policy choices I believe they matter to the future of the country.
And what policies are you endorsing if you endorse Kamala Harris?
I'll tell
we
you
still
what you
don't
are
know
endorsing
fully.
if you endorse
Let me finish real quick,
Trump.
please. We still fully don't know. Are we going to get the 2019 Kamala Harris, who came out of California and had all these liberal positions, that she wanted to ban fracking, that she supported the Green New Deal, and now we're hearing from advisors and mixed things. Oh, maybe she doesn't, maybe doesn't. Are we going to have 2019 Kamala Harris from California? Or are we going to have a new Kamala Harris who wants to win swing states and the position changing?
Either one is better than Donald Trump.
On any given
If you
day.
believe, Scott, let me just,
Listen,
Scott, just
all right, let me let
one
Stuart
second.
get his point.
I can remember being on the bus with you, with Romney. And this is something that really stuck with me. And one of the aides who worked for you had misspelled something in a press release. And you very, very nicely, you weren't mean, you said, this is someone running for the presidency of the United States, to sit in the Oval Office. We have to be at that level and treat it with that respect. How do you say that? And then you get Donald Trump, a sexual predator, a criminal, someone who we know is just a horrible human being who doesn't believe in what we believe in rule of law. And all this policy stuff, they're not going to remember what the tax rate was or what, this is basically, it is a character test, Scott.
It's more than that. It's more than what the tax rate is. Profound policy implications and decisions are coming from the next administration. I firmly believe if the Democrats win and if they somehow keep control of the Senate, which I don't think is likely, but is possible. They will eliminate the filibuster, and they will change this country in a way that we can never recover. That is important to me.
What does that look like?
I don't begrudge your viewpoint, but you cannot begrudge a Republican for wondering, hey, maybe it's not a great idea for us to drive off the left side of the road so far we can never find our way back.
You did hear him criticize John McCain, who was very good to you.
Of course, yeah. It was a dear friend of mine.
Yeah, he denigrated people who were prisoners of war.
Hey, the president is quite often very offensive, brash, says things that are outlandish. I relate a lot of those in the book. But, he's an extremely disruptive person. I saw it as my job, not to try to constrain him, but to help him disrupt what needed to be disrupted.
Would you work in the Trump White House again?
No, I think, Anderson, I will work in any administration where I feel like I can make a difference, but I'm kind of used up with Donald Trump.
Would you work in a Harris administration?
Well, I don't know if I would be effective there either, based on probably my different points of view and what is a sensible policy toward the Middle East, or really fill in the blank. But anywhere I could make a difference, it's such a privilege to serve. I mean, one of the themes in At War with Ourselves is, we are at war with ourselves. That's not only bad for our psyche, it's bad for governance. It's bad for our country. And I hope that young people, if they read this book, will feel a call to serve, because, the tone in the book is not one of, whoa, that was such a hard. I mean, it was a privilege to serve in that
It's a
job.
complex portrayal, and there's a lot of stuff you liked about what it went on in the administration, and you're also very honest about the things that you saw
that were disappointing. Yeah, absolutely.
Gentleman McMaster, I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Anderson. Great to be with you.
But because they already know everything. They say, oh, Trump's, not doing the debate. That's the same thing they say now. I mean, right now I say, why should I do a debate? I'm leading in the polls. And everybody knows her. Everybody knows me. But when I looked at the hostility of that, I said, why am I doing it? Let's do it with another network.
I have a different take and theory as to what's going on at the moment with regards to the Dems, Kamala Harris, and all the nonsense which is flying around, predominantly from the likes of Fox News, etc., with regards. She's not playing by their rules, whatever they are, but they clearly, the Harris campaign know what they're doing. Her popularity is rising, she's raising money, and she's doing the campaign how they see fit, not how Fox News seem fit. Fox News have not got a clue, by the way, how to run a political campaign. They're just after talking points. So a talking point at the moment, she's not done a sit-down interview. Because a sit-down interview is going to make a whole lot of difference.
Probably, but I think it's very unfair. The single worst network for unfairness, I think ABC is a disgrace.
Doesn't matter to him whether or not the mics are hot, and frankly, that he would prefer if they were hot. So I think this issue is resolved. We'll have a fulsome debate between the two candidates with live microphones.
We don't have to get into all the process, but they agreed to originally the same rules as the CNN debate with the muted mics and everything. It sounds like Vice President Harris wants that moment to say, I'm talking.
Yeah, no, I think there's no question about that. I think Harris wants to unnerve Trump, and I think that she's proven that that's kind of her style in a debate. She's going to say things about the Trump administration that Trump is going to consider vastly untrue, get under his skin, and hope to throw him into a tirade. I think that's the clear strategy, and so they want open mics. Look, Trump is right. They agreed to those rules. I think it's crazy that there's only one debate scheduled. The American public should have 3 debates. They should have regular press conferences with their candidates, and they should have position papers in order to make intelligent votes. So I think Trump's in the right here, but right, as you know, is not the same as good politics.
Well, we're hoping there's at least one more. The Harris campaign did put out a statement saying you would see the two of them on a stage somewhere in October. We hope it's on a stage with us. Pew Research Center, this is about the Kennedy supporters, Alex. Bobby Kennedy and party identification, 14% Republican, lean Republican, 40%. Do you think that around the margins, this endorsement, and then Tulsi Gabbard, not as much a surprise today, makes any difference in some of those swing states, which are super, super tight?
I think it will, because one, you're right, they are super tight, but the data isn't where the story starts, it's where the story ends. The narrative drives the data, and what's the narrative? What is it that RFK is bringing to the campaign? He's talking about health for children. He's talking about a cleaner world. He's talking about change in Washington. He's an outsider like Trump. What does that make Kamala Harris? An establishment candidate. So we've got the story is ramping up for Trump, and this gets him across the 50-yard line, maybe only inches, but in a race this close, I think it's a better story.
Yeah, and does it affect women, Mark? If you look at the view among women and you see the breakdown, 52-39, favorable for Harris and favorable for Trump is at 39. Does something like that, focusing on health and that outcome, adjust those numbers at all?
I don't really think that Kennedy has a big appeal to women. I do think he's worth about a point. I do think half his people may stay home. Most of his people don't like either candidate. I think Trump is going to do very well with young men, and he's got to get as many of those out as possible. And I think Harris is going to do really well with women. And I don't think Trump's got anything so far gender gap dynamic that we really see emerging in this campaign.
Well, it's fascinating. Love having you guys.
Kamala Harris Harris really doesn't need to worry what Fox have got to say. They are not the experts in running anything. They would like some type of sit-down interview or whatever as far as they're concerned. I don't think it's going to be on Fox. But it gives them the opportunity for some content. See if they can find something to take out of context, to analyse, bring in a talking head. Because at the moment, they don't have anything, which plays into the hands of Kamala Harris. She's doing extremely well in the polls. She's doing extremely well with fundraising. She's very visible. Her popularity is growing day by day. And more importantly, this is the craziest thing, she is every single day, she's the talking point. It starts and finishes with her. Trump is trying to get some attention. He keeps on having these nonsense press gatherings and briefings, which are really boring. Like, he's already appears sedated all over the place. Whereas in comparison, they can say she's hiding away, which is not true. It's just they hope they have something to... They've got nothing. So they're trying to pin something. Because what happens is they'll have, let's say, a talking point of the day. And that's then regurgitated through the Republican echo chamber machine. So it'll be repeated on social media. It will be repeated by any people who are in Trump's orifices, up his backside. And that's how they work. At the moment, they are struggling. Clearly, Kamala Harris is going to do a sit-down interview. She'll probably do quite a few. With regard to debates, now the debates.
Democrats get things done.
The Dow hit an all-time high yesterday.
We're seeing historic job growth. The largest investment in clean energy in the history of the world.
Illegal crossings down 54%.
We will never give up. We will never concede.
40 of his 44 cabinet officials wouldn't support it.
I will not be endorsing Donald Trump.
That's just the beginning.
Defendant Trump, he's on the line for $600 million.
Barred from business in New York for 3 years.
I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care.
We are not going back.
Is my personal opinion. Trump doesn't want to do the debates. He really doesn't. He wants to get some controversy out of it, to get some headlines. But you really feel and think that he can take on a prosecutor? I think you only need to see how he's performing at the moment in front of press briefings or press conferences that he's doing. It's just like so softball, it's untrue. How is he going to fare? He knows that. But it'd be a bit rich, by the way, if he doesn't, because the same people who are accusing Kamala Harris of not taking part in a sit-down interview or anything like that, what are they going to say when their beloved leader scoots off in the opposite direction? The other thing I will say, this is why I think it's good for Kamala Harris, what she's doing at the moment. I've never seen so many Democratic voices, Democratic people, analysis, etc. It's all about her appearing on Fox News right now and other similar cable news stations of the ilk. As an outsider looking in, it's incredible.
Now is Michael Tyler, Communications Director for the Harris-Walz campaign. Michael, it's great seeing you. I thank you for your time. So what exactly is the vice president's position on this debate?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think her position is the same as Donald Trump's position on this, because he went on to say in that same interaction that he doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him whether or not the mics are hot, and frankly, that he would prefer if they were hot. So I think this issue is resolved unless Donald Trump allows his handlers to overrule him. We'll have a fulsome debate between the two candidates with live microphones where both candidates will be able to lay out their vision for where they want to take this country. You'll have Vice President Harris. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry, Mike. Keep going. Didn't mean to
I think, if given that that reality, we will have a debate where Vice President Harris will lay out her vision for where she wants to take this country, right? Having an economy where folks have the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead, where we stand up and protect women's reproductive rights, where we stand up for our democracy. And on the other side of that debate stage, you'll see Donald Trump, who's grown increasingly unhinged, who is fighting for himself, who will probably try to lie about his record on abortion, even though he's out on the stump bragging about the role that he played in overturning Roe. You'll hear him celebrate celebrate the insurrectionists of January 6th, and you'll hear him lay out his economic plans, which do absolutely nothing to serve the middle class, but only serve people like Donald Trump, the ultra-wealthy, powerful corporations. And so that will be the fundamental contrast that the American people are able to see on September 10th at the ABC debate.
All right, so back to that September 10th debate. So I don't know what the rules were agreed to previously, right? And is this something that it just seems like it's kind of trite, like whether the mics are open or not, is that enough to not have a debate? But I'm just wondering, is this an issue that is going to make the debate, is this a make it or break it on this debate?
No, it shouldn't be, because, again, Donald Trump, today himself said it doesn't matter to him, that he's comfortable with live microphones throughout the debate.
And does it matter to the Harris debate? Does the Harris campaign matter if it's open or not? I mean, is that enough to
that is absolutely
stop
That is absolutely our preference. That is absolutely our preference in this campaign, to have live microphones so that the American people can see both candidates for who they are and hear everything that comes out of their mouths. Donald Trump will be on that debate stage, and he will talk about his plans to ban abortion. He'll interject, he'll rant, he'll rave, he'll air his own personal grievances,
but I'm just,
and the American people deserve to see that.
I got it, but it just seems like it's like such a minor point to be canceling or not a debate. But anyway, I'm glad that you cleared that one up. Let's see, if there's any response by the Trump campaign. But meanwhile, I want to ask you about
Trump has made his response, and he agrees with our position. So we look forward to the debate on September 10th with live mics between the two candidates. That's what the American people deserve to see, and apparently that's what they will see.
Okay, thanks.